For sure. No, okay.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. We're really excited to be here today. It's myself, Max Parnell, with Kirsty Dunlop, and Denise may be joining us. She's on a call right now, but we'll see if she tunes in.
It's real.
So we're here to host Pop Mutation. So we've got 4 wonderful speakers here with us today. We've got Michael Rennie, Eloise Birtwhistle, Nasim Luczaj, and Spam Zone Maria Sledmere. So for anyone who doesn't know us, we are a post-internet poetry zine and press based in Glasgow. And yeah, I feel like we've been living on Zoom for the last 3 months. I almost can't imagine going back to doing readings in person, but we've got, the 4 readers today. So we're going to start by, we'll read their bios as a short introduction. And I think each of them are going to read for about 5 minutes. And yeah, I think that will be the format today. We don't have too much time. So I think, Kirsty, unless you had anything you were going to weigh in with, or should we just dive in?
Dive in, and also maybe just say that these poets have been featured in Spam's latest Millennium Megabus.
That's true. So we have, we're motoring through the Millennium Megabus as well. We're onto our 4th box out of 5. So I think it'll either be a reorder or it'll be whoever's next. The next 30 people to order have got the last ones.
Can I add some spam? I saw a deconstructed Megabus in Govan the other day. It was kind of like it was very rusty and lifted on some truck, and yeah, looked really interesting. I didn't take a picture. That's it.
Where about? Maybe I'll go there on.
It was by the docks, but I think the truck was leaving. I think they were taking it away. But
I've been hanging out at the Graving Docks a lot. Don't know why.
Yeah, I'd like them to see you there.
Find out where they were taking it.
Pop Mutations afters.
Okay, so the first poet we've got up is Michael Rennie. Here's his bio. I used to be so ambitious, but now all I want is to be able to write convincing he said, she said. Over to you, Michael.
Thanks. Very nice. My piece is called Portal. It's like a he said, she said kind of thing, and not one from Spam, but like I think the Spam stuff that I've written is quite like weird and bumpy and stuff, so it's like harder to read out. So hopefully this works better, but it'll still have like spammy themes. Joseph, Lena's dad said quite sternly as they shook hands. The man's palm was rough and he had a firm grip. Joseph smiled weakly and thought about manual labor. Hi, Dad, Lena said, hugging him briefly as they all came into the house. It's good to finally meet you. Lena speaks highly of you, her dad continued. What little she does say, her mom said, leaning in to hug Joseph. Hi, Joseph, welcome. He thought she smelled like a shallower version of his girlfriend. Okay, Mom, Lena started to say. I hope I live up to her recommendations, Joseph said. The joke didn't make enough sense to fully land, but it was met with a forgiving silence. Come on through, her mom said as she went towards the dining room. Dinner's just about ready. The heavy wooden table was set with crockery, cutlery, and cloth napkins. Joseph watched Lena's mum light 2 brand new candles. He tried to remember her name. Do you like wine, Joseph? Her dad said. He was standing at a tall cabinet with decoratively placed bottles behind the glass. I pretty much drink anything, he said. He put his hand on Lena's shoulder and tried to draw her towards him. She didn't let him and moved away while smiling. Her dad looked up and made eye contact with Joseph. I'll let Lena choose then, shall I? Joseph laughed once and tried to alter his posture to appear more relaxed. Probably a good, Joseph started. We don't drink wine, Dad, we just drink, Lena said, taking the bottle and peeling off the top. This made her dad smirk. She began filling the glasses on the table. Mom, she called, are you having wine? Almost ready, her mom called back. Lena flashed a glance between Joseph and her dad with a smile. She took the bottle and empty glass into the kitchen. Joseph's face was fixed in a fake smile. He picked up his wine glass and had it almost tilted to his lips when Lena's dad said, Cheers. Joseph hesitated as though he momentarily forgot the custom before clinking his glass. The 2 males drank and listened to the kitchen. Joseph said, one thing, something that can be said about every kind of drink, when you're drinking them, you're drinking them. Lena's father tasted his wine and swirled it and nodded, moving his lips. From the top shelf, centuries-old stuff to the bottom 2 for $5 bottles from Wine Me Up. You drink enough, you get drunk. Lena came back through, smiling with her glass. Your mother kept the bottle, I see, her dad said. Lena looked down at her hands and laughed. I didn't even notice. That's what she does, that woman, he said. Joseph felt a kind of repressed awe at the man in his effortlessly dry humor. He had a typical parental authority that seemed impenetrable, guarded by shrewdness, and Joseph noticed with internal disappointment that his instinct was for the man's approval. He drank his whole glass and set it on the table. Thirsty? Lena said. Joseph didn't make eye contact. He watched Lena's mum bring a full roast chicken to the table, sizzling in a ceramic oven dish. Take a seat, the woman said. The show's about to start. In your mouths. She exaggerated a bow as she went back to the kitchen. Joseph sat down and looked at the chicken with his mouth closed. Lena put her hand on his knee. Her dad was looking at him. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere, he said. Joseph looked up at the door and then at the man, thinking he was talking to someone else. He couldn't think of how to respond, and he noticed this hesitation made the man uneasy. The way you were looking at it, he reiterated. It was as if you thought it would fly away. Any uneasiness he felt suddenly culminated in a renewed sharpness. Joseph nodded with a half smile. Dad, Joseph is vegan, Lena almost whispered. Her dad registered this with a high nod of his head. Joseph wondered what aspect of his personality this piece of information shed light on for the man. Okay, on your marks, Lena's mom said as she placed the other dishes down. Get set. The lad's a vegan, Lena's dad said to her. The woman looked at him and then at the other two. Well, I know that, Harvey. That's what all this is for. She gestured with her fork at the dishes of steamed vegetables beside the chicken. You didn't think I was going to make you eat all this steamed cauliflower, did you? The man took a quick drink of wine with a grin and picked up his cutlery. Joseph looked at the whiteness of the steam as he was served up some very clean vegetables. He glanced at the bottle of wine that stood nearly empty. They would surely open another. Lena looked at his plate and smiled at him. He smiled back, but was very aware of the parents. He watched Harvey guide a long knife through the plump meat and make anticipatory noises. Joseph pictured the moment of Lena's conception without being able to stop himself. He looked down at his plate as his mouthful lost all flavor. He couldn't help picturing Lena herself somehow entering that coital room through a portal in time. He sat in the bathroom for ages. So, Joseph, Harvey began. His tone was of someone instigating a debate. Why vegan? He sat back as he poured gravy across his plate. Joseph saw that he was a man who was eager for conversation, and in this case he wanted it to be contestable, though he also wanted to forswear himself. Joseph decided not to engage. Just for health reasons, really, he said. Harvey nodded. You should read the studies I sent you, Dad, Lena said. Joseph shot her an awkward smile. He felt the conversation tip. So it's a perspective based on nutritional science, the man said. Joseph opened his mouth with a long breath. Lena shrugged. Sure, why not, she said. Her dad nodded. What? Lena pushed. Joseph looked at her innocently in an effort to give her center stage. Well, her dad went on, it's changing all the time, isn't it? I mean, when I was your age, you remember, Penny, they said all fat was bad. Now it's good. Joseph looked over at Penelope, who nodded. He accidentally peered at her face, realizing he would never have guessed her name, even though he had already learned it. He had heard Lena mention it numerous times. He wondered what misfiring synapse was responsible. He tried to recall other times when he had misremembered something or completely lost a piece of information in his mind. He began to try to collate all of his memories of the day, starting with when he woke up. Yes, but taking advantage of technological advancements and to enhance the physical body to beyond its natural capability is the natural course of modern human evolution, Lena's dad was saying, now leaning over his plate. Lena put her cutlery down to emphasize her hand gestures. Her cheeks were flushed red. Joseph felt embarrassed for her. When he saw her become so animated, he thought she was ugly. But the excitement of the debate and her rapport with her father evidently made her happy. He sat in the bathroom for a long, long time. Later, under a drizzle and the deep amber of street lamps, Lena said, Why were you so quiet tonight? Joseph didn't answer for a long time, hoping that she would read this as contemplation. He began. Lena blinked and looked at the pavement up ahead. They walked for a bit longer. Maybe we shouldn't see each other anymore, she said. She still held his arm. Joseph looked at her and felt his head become hot. Why? He said quietly. He hoped she would read this as sensitive. I mean, I love you and I hope we can stay together, but this happens quite a lot. And if you can't even be bothered to make an effort to, what happens quite a lot? Well, that we do something together and you just shut down and stop engaging. It happens almost every time we do something that I want to do, or with my friends or with my family. It makes it seem like I'm dragging you around everywhere. People must think, I don't know. I mean, it's fine if you don't enjoy meeting my friends or doing the stuff I want to, but it just means we can't be together, don't you think? Joseph felt humiliated by the calm way she spoke and the clarity of her own emotional comprehension. He stopped walking and took her face in his hands. I love you, he said. He kissed her. Somehow it didn't seem to mean anything. I love you too, she said after a moment. But we don't have to stay together. We're not married. It's kind of down to you. He looked her in the eyes. He expected his wordless stare to be enough. She stared back, her patience unperturbed. Look, he finally said, moving strands of her hair from her face. I'm sorry, I just get quite nervous when I meet new people, especially parents, you know, it just feels really important and it makes me kind of seize up. I'm just worried that nobody will like me. I don't mean to come across so cold. I feel like an asshole. She put her head on his chest. You're not an asshole, Joseph. It just seemed like you didn't like my mom and dad. I guess you don't have to, but it's just part of like being an adult, isn't it? You just be polite. Joseph nodded and put his arms around her. He felt petulant and ashamed, realizing that his attitude during dinner was probably quite visible, and he felt angry that he had committed himself to this domestic necessity. He dreaded meeting Harvey and Penelope again, but he said, yeah, you're right. That's the end.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. That was quite a strange read.
It reminded me a lot of being at home and having to go through those questions with older grandparents of like, so why actually are you vegan?
Yeah.
Try and explain it. And then as a slightly kind of, maybe a slightly nasty move, I served up vegan sausages when my nan was there, and she ate one and said how delicious it was. And then I told her it was vegan and she got really upset with me. So
Oh.
she didn't feed me that stuff about telling me it could make me ill.
That's random. I've never actually been in that situation, but yeah, I think it's a bit awkward. I don't know if that is the right vibe to be putting out in this video, but yeah.
No, thank you. I really enjoyed that.
Awkwardness.
My brother once ate a whole, he'd been veggie all his life and he ate like a whole meat fry up because his girlfriend's parents had made it for him when he was like 17.
Oh no.
Speak up for your dietary requirements, man. Like
so next up we're gonna have, who are we having? We're gonna have Eloise Birtwhistle. Eloise is a poet and creative essayist living in Glasgow. Her poems have been published in New Writing Scotland, Dyslexia and Reclaim, an anthology of women's poetry. She was a finalist of the 2019 Dyslexia and Poetry Book Society Women's Poetry Prize and has been selected to take part in the Clyde Built programme.
Hey.
There you go.
So I think today I'm going to read from a series that I've been working on recently. So it's all a bit work in progressy, but I'm sure you can bear with. And basically it's just sort of thinking about how we, throughout all kinds of societies, impose narratives or a kind of moral order on kind of unexplainable random events, and often that happens through sort of personification. So an example would be our great Prime Minister calling coronavirus an unexpected and invisible mugger, which is ridiculous. So the series is called The People versus Chaos. Murder. Stitched into man's clothes, the sow swings from gallows as if from a butcher's hook. Her head and legs, the head and legs of a convict, knife mangled to mimic how she gorged a child. Her own sucklings were discovered at the scene, blood browning their callow skin. With the proof of their assistance lacking, the tribunal must grant each piglet bail. Destruction of crops. 2 by 2, the villagers skirt their parish, holy water pattering on bitten ground. For 3 days, litany hums across fields, perforates vegetation. These snails are not the locusts of Egypt, and every green herb is not given for meat. The courts see a devil in twisted shells. The excommunication leaves only dry trails, offerings of silver. Prytaneum Court. I should just quickly mention actually, the last two are kind of more about medieval animal trials. This is actually a court in ancient Greece that would try inanimate objects and animals. It's a slight time shift. Prytaneum Court. My walls are the last to welcome such tainted things. A dagger whose edge slipped through skin wrapped itself with the heat of guts, with no palm grip or tongue to plead, found gleaming and brought before these tribal kings. My head has never held a roof. Blue air lifts infection, miasma that ekes from the cracks of a column who plotted a murderous fall. My ears don't twitch as the guilty ears of an ox twitch. My door won't bite like the jaw of a beast. My hands are the hands that cast you from this city. Laying an egg. It's true that an egg hid beneath the rooster's plumes. And who could risk this old cock's mistress reaping such a gift? Her incantations, brood belly of a toad, the basilisk rupturing shell. Tearing the bird on the rack draws no confession, yet the magistrate's sentence a heinous and unnatural crime. Townsmen say that at the stake flames unseam his flesh, and his bowels express 3 more oath coquetry. This last one is about almost definitely what was a political assassination of Ivan the Terrible's son when he was about 8 or 9 years old, and what happened after that. It's called Inciting Civil Unrest. Like his father, the infant prince delights at crimson slicing the throats of livestock. When blood runs from his own white neck, it pulls in his collarbone to a bell toll, a call to riot. Moscow punishes the mob. The instigator is hurled from its tower, is flayed in the square 12 rings of knout against metal. That indiscreet tongue is slit from its gullet and tossed from an emptied mouth. The bell is heaved by fellow exiles over mountains. One by one, these families leave their bones in Siberia. Snowdrifts deepen for 300 years. Mute as tundra, rust begins to spread out into the cold. That's all I've got for that at the moment. Thanks.
Thanks.
Nice.
Such a beautiful last few lines to finish on. Thank you.
And I love the concept of the piece. I want to read more.
Well, hopefully there will be more coming.
More content.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Next up, we have Spam's own Maria Sledmere. Maria Sledmere is attempting a PhD in creative writing at the University of Glasgow. When she's not lost in the Anthropocene, she can be found impersonating Peggy Olson at Spam headquarters or co-hosting the workshop series Pop Matters. She is also a music journalist and member of A&E Collective. Over to you, Maria.
Hi. This is not my 5th hour on Zoom today. It should have been, but it's my 3rd. I'm going to start with 2 poems from Millennium Megabus. Idling Solution. The final call is a future to look forward into the hot it will get, penniless. I ride this solar excess, adjacent to uniformed ones, how they wait outside takeaways, scrolling for zeros. I almost ride the Hyperloop, schooling my dreams. If this tipped, there a burning. How big is your engine, but still a burning, extinguishable greenness? What if the mega were only metaphor? I get on the bus, a half please, this mean economy of golden Eden plus I want to center on light, into the hot it will get, no change. Train song. I actually prefer trains to buses, don't. Swapping cassettes on the 4 o'clock, we speak in tickets, tag ourselves golden hour, what came first, the sound or belief in the sound that is changed like climate, a brain's anemone dance, your Instagram stories my sleep, and friction just is the analog feel, and click into exit, plastic case for culpable hands, the person you want to make love on short-term contract with all this beautiful application, B-sides, dopamine, the lapis mess of frontier is a ScotRail, pouring a little orange in the night for your ash, I could smoke in reverse, Leisurely, let's speak because not to commute in the Microsoft grasslands. I cry because I cry very lightly, and snow is all the better seen from windows and almost arrival. This next one is from a zine called Super Spreader that Anna Danielowicz put together, and it's a commemorative poem for Grimes's baby. It's called X-Ash A12. Mom baby arborescence, bricolage of Taurian, dream fortress, tweets of moat, 7 miles Tesla, thought has shape. It cries like malware, hopelessly ill-prepared. The rise and fall of shares is just milky loyalty, not looking for new engendering, salience, finance, the weather is auriferous, all good bearing leaves. And the last ones are from a little pamphlet I put together at the start of lockdown, staying with the Grimes theme. It's the pamphlet's called Miss Anthropocene, and this first one's called Possession. Eloquent peal for universal, lyrical eyes come to unrest. Romance is agony, beauty and doom, commence fight sequence, late 90s, kissing you hard in the Blade Runner rain, felt it was lacking cohesion and flow. The concept is so hatched. Why are your lashes lilac as the wine from a low midi sky? What the fuck is softcore? The Anthropos knows its freaky scene. Gaia is my favorite pop persona. Rattle me gently. What do I love? I'll miss myself most. EDM star. I say bona fide because Pitchfork gave it an 8.2. I guess I'm with Melon on this one. My last one's called Full Lil Peep. The deluxe version came with a swatch of permanent millennial pink. I licked it and felt my sad core impasse start to lift, start to snow. Stalactites tattooing your face with abyss. Some of us are doing this every day, picking our senses. I'm like peak oil precariat, post-fossil, my eyeballs made of fucking emeralds. Emerald green, millennial pink. There's so much snow, I can't keep clean. It rolls and drips. Give me the casino of your sex. It's a jam, so deep I keep operatic deities. Heroin made me change in the dark, the kiss I was saving. We roll around and around and around with it. Cheers.
Thanks, Maria. So nice to hear some of those Grimes poems read aloud, because I've read a sticky few before and I love them. So yeah, the lockdown pamphlet we all need. Max, I think you're on mute. Some problems.
Yeah, I've got building works going on upstairs and I'm kind of nervous because every now and again they'll burst a pipe and it'll start to drip through my ceiling. So it's like if I'm in here, it's like very quickly getting all the electronics put away. But if it happens overnight, it's another story. So he offered to put a tarpaulin in my room to just cover all my stuff, but I was like, I kind of need to use it. So it doesn't.
You're in a museum.
Yeah, it's not practical for me. And he's like, maybe I can come into your room and knock out the ceiling and get the pipe from underneath. So maybe after lockdown when I'm actually out of the house. Anyway, enough of my household woes. Finally, we have Nasim Luczaj. Nasim makes and matchmakes dance music and poetry.
Okay, so today I have some mostly scraps that haven't necessarily gone far beyond phone notes, but here they are. The coming and going of a fly on and off a horse, especially its eyeball. The long lashes of the horse, the that's it, the unbeknownst. The extra houses in dreams and no discernible doors, never remembering doorknobs. The ambulance parked lopsidedly on Sunday, and Sunday's smooth back, the almost silence of a hand on a smooth back, stuck dreaming. The stammer pleated with ghosts, the devoid, the ambulance told when to roar, The lashes of the horse even longer than unspeakable grass. The lashes of the horse even longer than the speakable, and flies beside them. This is just a thing I saw. And we have each other, don't we? A woman in Milgai is lying in the open drawbridge boot of her family car, like that poor nude paired with every discussion of the female gaze, only fully clothed in suburbia, dousing her fork into Tupperware, filled, I suppose, with salad from the house, and 2 dark dogs, one black, one brown, and many nippled, with nipples like mossy women as seen on TV and in rooms I've lived in. The heads of these dogs just about reach her feet, perhaps licking them out of sight, because I'm looking off kilter so as not to be staring. An engine starts, the effort to remember, to have the oddness impressed upon you, so you can come back, tethered to scars, newly able to ask questions. Does all the walking. Why go to Morocco with a person you don't know that well again? Doesn't it sound better to be a baker than a white-collar worker when it's in a story? Because it sounds like the past, and in the end, aren't even environmentalists conservative? Wasn't it annoying, that dress that surprised people when it was 2 sets of colors at once? And why does drawing an object remove any sense of something in front of me? Why anything or anything else than that love? I've known, but have I known my mouth for what it is, and how deep I stand in these feet, for hours now in this chat that we had that was beautiful, leveled quake, biting right into bread. The answers are not aware of themselves. It's like knowing without giving it thought, that somewhere someone is stealing horses, that somewhere someone is feeding horses that are not hungry, and not feeding horses that are. Things I wrote to last me the sunset. It took the sky moments to burn down. Just before that, it was a child shouting Pikachu near the depot, so arduous to clean. If ghosts came by, would they not ask, how can you live? I've picked one thistle to look at when feeling unstable. Another phone note. Inside longing, it is quite wide, actually. A ball could be had here, only the time is penniless. Only there are mosquitoes and this one boy always wearing the same clothes with a different bicycle. Forgetting oars, the hands that hold them. They lie on a kind of clock, a bed, strewn across like a hand on a face nailed to wall. Time is marked neatly as a forest, planted on purpose on a quilt of water. Threads hold the liquid in grid or splinters, the sharp ongoing of light. A raft is all splinter. A raft can cover water, itself a cover. They feel like an oar just before awakening, and push the water, its door dense as any other, splintered as any other. Past water, you don't get to anything. A body rotates, and that is a stillness. And the last one is human rain, R-A-I-N. And the sea fucking the cliff, minuscule breakage, and a sheep, sliding grass up and down it to fill its pillow, and a drone, afterthought stalking the present, and a pocket makeup mirror that enlarges a lot. Ooh, a limb stuffed with a voice leaking a chest. Consolation dropped in a rock pool and the cliff's little orgasm. The sheep turns to make noise in another direction. Let's face it.
Thanks so much.
My battery just...
That little find in the middle of the poem was quite beautiful as well, I thought.
It's the sheep. Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh, well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you to our 4 poets, Michael, Eloise, Maria, and Nasim, for reading for us.
Nice. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Part of the job, I guess.
Thank you for